Welcome back into NCC News at 4 o'clock. It's time for sports. I'm Christian Dahms. We're here outside of Myron Victory Court at the JMA Wireless Dome. Over 300 fans packed right there to watch Jerry McNamara officially get introduced as the next head coach for Syracuse men's basketball. For more than a month, Syracuse men's basketball had waited patiently for the return of forward Donnie Freeman. And in today's ACC opener against Clemson, the sophomore did not disappoint. Freeman poured in a game-high 18 points, all of which came in the second half, but it wasn't enough for the Orange in a 64-61 loss to the Tigers. But despite the final result, SU head coach Adrian Autry is proud of the fight Freeman and the rest of his team showed. I think a lot of it starts with William Kyle on the low block, the big man for Syracuse today. He had 13 rebounds in addition to a career-high 6 blocks. I mean, Coach Autry has talked about it a few times early this season. Syracuse hasn't really had a center that could do the things that William Kyle can. Despite no true home field advantage for ITC, that hasn't stopped the Eagles from starting out their season 6-1, making them one of the top teams in Class B. And here at Rossler Park, the team continues to work towards its ultimate goal, playing for a championship at the JMA Wireless Dome. Syracuse's very own Otto the Orange just made history this week, becoming the first mascot in the nation to sign a name, image, and likeness deal. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How the heck did this even happen? Well, the deal comes as a part of the NIL Store's 2025 Mascot Mania jersey collection, where fans can buy jerseys with Otto on them paired with the numbers of current SU football players signed to the store. So while hoop season is just getting started, Syracuse men's soccer is in the thick of postseason play. 6-seeded SU hosted 11-seeded Virginia Tech in the first round of the ACC tournament. The Orange entered this matchup coming off some impressive results against ranked foes, a 2-0 win over number 22 North Carolina, and a 1-1 draw against 4th-ranked NC State. So could Cuse keep that momentum going into the playoffs? The rain pouring at SU Soccer Stadium. Certainly could see it there from Coach Ian McIntyre, but that didn't slow down Tim Brodaric, who gets this goal in the 22nd minute to put SU up 1-0 early. But another star for the Hokies was Declan Quill, gets this goal right here to tie it at 1. That's Quill's 5th goal in the last 3 games for Virginia Tech. We're tied 1-1 going into the 62nd minute, but Tim Brodaric strikes again, gets the goal, and puts SU up 2-1, and that would be the final score. The Orange advance to the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament, where they'll face 3rd-seeded NC State this Sunday down in Raleigh. Over on the ice, the Syracuse Crunch opened their 25-26 campaign on the road for a weekend series against the Hershey Bears. After winning Game 1 yesterday, the Crunch were in search of back-to-back wins to start their season 2-0 for the 3rd year in a row. But it wouldn't be easy down 2-0 against Hershey in the second period. But how about this goal from Scott Saberin, assisted by Brendan Furry? That would give Syracuse its first goal of the game, and later on in the 3rd period, Declan Carlisle, the defenseman, ties it up at 2. So we're headed to extra hockey, and it's Dominic James, the hero for the Crunch, getting the winner in overtime, and it would deliver the Crunch their 2nd win of the season, 3-2 in thrilling fashion over the Hershey Bears. In the midst of a 7-game homestand to close out 2025, Syracuse men's basketball faces a quick turnaround this weekend. Welcome into sports. I'm Christian Dahms. The Orange topped St. Joe's last night at the Dome and will now face Hofstra on Saturday afternoon. But the Orange came out a bit sluggish last night against the Hawks. Most likely a combination of 9 days off after their win against number 13 Tennessee and some of the team experiencing flu-like symptoms, which head coach Adrian Autry mentioned post-game. St. Joe's led for the first 10 minutes of action and kept the game close all the way through, but SU pulled out a 71-63 win, in no small part thanks to Tyler Betsy and Nate Kings. The duo combined for 30 points and accounted for all 6 of SU's 3-pointers. Autry says that both have value far beyond their shooting skills.
Tyler Bessie is probably one of the more improved defenders. You know, that wasn't really his reputation. You know, coming out of high school, he was a guy that could shoot the ball, and he's made tremendous strides. He's worked on his body. So, but you know, in particular, you know, Nate Kings, you know, he's a guy that can, you know, he gets hits on screens. He doesn't stop, keeps moving. So again, those two guys, you know, and then for us, you know, they can shoot the ball on the offensive end as well.
The Orange have no time to rest before hosting 7-4 Hofstra. The Pride come to the Dome as winners of 5 of their last 6 games, including a win against ACC opponent Pittsburgh just last week. Defense has been SU's calling card all season, but so has Hofstra's. The Pride have the best defense in their conference, holding opponents to an average of just 66 points per game. Tip-off from the Dome tomorrow is set for 4 o'clock, and the game will air on the ACC network. Over to the ice, the Syracuse Crunch are back in action tonight at Upstate Medical Arena. The Crunch are set to host the Lehigh Valley Phantoms and are looking to break out of a 3-game losing streak. Defenseman Roman Schmidt will make his return to the 3-1-5. He was traded to Philadelphia earlier this week after spending 3 years in Syracuse. He has not yet made his Phantoms debut. So if you're looking to catch some action downtown, this weekend is your chance. The Crunch are home tonight and tomorrow for their only home weekend in December. Puck drop for tonight's game is set for 7 o'clock, and the game will air on the CW6. And a bit of news out of Buffalo. Josh Allen is jumping into fatherhood. The Bills quarterback and his wife, actress Haley Steinfeld, announced on Instagram just moments ago that they are expecting their first child. So some good news for Bills fans. You might just get that baby bump from Josh Allen. Revival Department in Destiny Mall isn't like most barbershops, with walls covered in graffiti and designer clothes in the back. So it makes sense that one of the shop's most unique barbers has had an equally unique path.
I was lining up my friends and stuff like that, doing beards and stuff like that, and it was not what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life, I'm not going to lie.
It didn't take long for Alex Gonzalez to realize the talent he had. After quitting his fast food job, Alex began fully working towards his dream.
Bought like a really cheap pair of clippers and just like the essentials to cut from Sally's, and started lining my boy up, and then I asked my uncle if I could go work with him.
That opportunity helped with Alex getting more exposure and clients, until tragedy struck when his mother passed away.
I still wonder how I'd continue to keep pushing past things like that, because it's like she was the one who got like most of the stuff I have. She had got me like all the gold clippers over there, and just like she was the one who believed in me when it felt like nobody else did.
However, with help from his friends, Alex got back to work. A new opportunity opened at Revival, which introduced him to different Syracuse football players. For sophomore cornerback Davian Kerr, the connection with Alex was there right away.
And I DM'd him, and he actually put up on me to get a cut. And that was my first time ever getting a house call, so it was just a great experience.
While cutting hair for SU football players has helped with Alex growing his brand, it's the connections he's built in the community that have kept people in these chairs.
The way he came up, too, like I could relate to him. He's like a big brother. Our relationship just keeps growing and growing.
And whether it's through his newfound friendships with Syracuse football or the videos he posts with his coworkers on Instagram, Alex remains committed to keeping the barbershop a place where both creativity and community can flourish.
It's good to give that positive outlook for the kids to come up and see us and, you know, be happy about videos and things like that. I feel like we all really enjoy that.
In Syracuse, Christian Dahms, NCC News. Welcome back to McCorker Modeling Countdown to Tip-Off. I'm your host, Christian Dahms. We're just about 20 minutes away from Syracuse men's basketball's second clash with number 16 North Carolina this season. And it's also important to note that this is the third time that SU is playing in front of a national TV audience this year, with today's TV broadcast on ABC. But is that necessarily a good thing? Let's talk about it.
And despite a second-half little surge from Syracuse, it's not enough. And North Carolina wins 87-77 over Syracuse.
The worst loss in ACC history for the Orange. 101-64 at the hand of the Blue Devils. Syracuse gets embarrassed.
Syracuse men's basketball has gotten humiliated against the ACC's elite this month. A double-digit loss to then number 14 North Carolina to start out February, and then a 37-point demolition at the hands of third-ranked Duke earlier this week. What do both of those games have in common? Both were primetime Big Monday slots on ESPN, which meant that millions of fans got to bear witness to SU's struggles.
That game was brutal. That was not competitive. They showed a shot once of Carmelo Anthony in the stands because his son plays for Syracuse. I felt badly for him. There's something really wrong at Syracuse.
That was Tony Kornheiser on Pardon the Interruption, one of the network's flagship programs, and he's not wrong. Barring a miraculous run, the Orange are expected to miss their 5th straight NCAA tournament, marking the longest drought for the program in 55 years. Syracuse men's basketball alum and current ESPN analyst Eric Devendorf knows it's far from the spotlight SU had during his time with the Orange.
Every game that we played was on ESPN, and then when you got to the Big East, it was a battle every single night. So most of those games were on, nationally televised, or were nationally televised games. So, in our mind, every game was a big game.
And while it's true that Cuse is a program with a ton of history and prestige, its current tournament drought has seen the team just not live up to the hype in those big-time contests. SU has gone just 2-5 in standalone or free-to-air games on TV since 2021. So why are the Orange still getting these primetime spots?
Yeah, obviously when you're talking about Big Monday, you want the best matchup possible because all eyes are on Big Monday. And for many years, Syracuse was that big draw. I think going into this season, there was a hope that Syracuse was going to return to that level of success, and that's why they were willing to gamble on it.
That's ESPN play-by-play announcer and WAER alum Jay Alter, and that gamble hasn't quite paid off for the network. With change already coming soon with SU AD John Wildhack stepping down, it's reasonable to assume that the uncertainty will lead to few or no standalone games next season for the Orange. However, Alter says there's a different fate that fans should be worried about.
What are the worst television windows? And I think it's those midweek 9 p.m. starts, 9 p.m. tip-offs on ACC Network. And I've done a couple of them this season, and teams tell me this is the hardest window.
A late tip-off on the East Coast certainly isn't great for fans. Syracuse got scheduled for 5 games in that slot this year alone, more than the past 2 seasons combined if you don't count its trips to Stanford and Cal from last year. So with SU Hoops as we know it in limbo, and the current product on the court lacking behind other top programs, is it too late before the Orange spiral out into obscurity?
The good news is for Syracuse, people still remember because it wasn't that long ago that you were going to the Final Fours. In Boeheim's last 10 years, they made 4 trips to the Sweet 16 and 2 Final Fours. So that is really important. But if it goes on another 5 years, another 10 years, you could find yourself past that point of no return.
Christian Dahms, WAER Sports.